This month we use a Sharpie. While cleaning up the garage the other day, we found a spool of color fab wood fill, and we figured, hey, why not try and make something with it? So for this, we're going to explore some different tools in Fusion that we don't normally use, which is the form or sculpt workbench. Essentially, it's kind of like as close as you can get to sculpting like in ZBrush, where you can get these more natural, really complex compound curves, but it is still something that's a solid model that can do all the awesome Boolean operations that we can do with those types. And essentially you just get a cage of points, lines, and face, or points, edges, and faces, and you pull them around and morph the shape to your heart's content. Now what I've just turned on here is the control box. Essentially, the smooth shape is an interpolation of curvature between, kind of like how when you draw a spline, it approximates the curvature between on the points you draw. This is how the shape is created. There's a control box and the whole shape is approximated, kind of like a spline between all of the different points, which enables us to have these nice smooth edges and get some really interesting curvatures without a lot of heavy geometry that would bog the computer down. So we're going to play around with a bunch of different things, trying to give it as much of an interesting shape as we can. We'll kind of round off the tip here a little bit. That's looking good. Maybe we'll shrink it down a little bit, make it more of a hook shape. Yeah, not bad at all. Make some adjustments on the back here. It's looking a little too square. Let's add a bit more shape to it. Make it match the front maybe a little bit. Yeah, that's better. And then let's make this a little bit more in line with the top of everything. Maybe point it a teeny bit more. Do some massaging here and there. I think that looks pretty good. Want to square the sides off a little bit, make it a teeny bit flatter so it's easier to print, because we're going to print it on its side so that the layers are going in the direction where they're against the load that's going to be hanging on top of it. Now we are going to make a way to attach this interesting shape to a wall, or in our case our shoe rack. So we'll create a sketch, project the cross section, and we're going to draw a little wedge shape, which will eventually be kind of a little cleat that we slide it over onto the wall. So we're going to take our sketch geometry. You can see we've got the offset there, so we can have a nice little sliding fit. And then once we get to the extrude, it'll make a lot more sense. So we're going to extrude out and cut a nice little channel into our shape. And then we're going to duplicate our original shape and take the offset inner shape that we created on the sketch and do an intersection so that we can create the cleats. You see here, we'll make that 0.5 millimeter offset. We have a nice little piece that our hook can slide onto. All that's left is to create a couple holes so then we can attach it to whatever we want to attach it to. We'll extrude those through. And then we need to give them a little bit of a chamfer so that the screw heads sit flush. Probably go with 3 millimeters. It's a little bit of a guess. We'll see what screws we have in the toolbox, and hopefully everything works. And there we go. Looks like I didn't quite extend the intersection. There we go. Now everything lines up nice and smoothly, and it's time to send it to the printer. The awesome thing about the wood filament is you can treat it pretty much like regular wood. It doesn't absorb stain quite as well as we showed in a previous video with the shift knob, but give it a nice sanding to smooth it out really well. We started with 220 and then gave it a quick hit with 400 just to make it a little bit smoother. And then to kind of bring the color back, we didn't really have any proper woodworking finishing oil, but we did have some mineral oil kicking around, which we used for another project a long time ago. We figured we'd have a go of it and see if it makes the wood look a little bit nicer. Seems to do a pretty good job. So we got a little bit of a semi-gloss coloring now. Let's go install it on the shoe rack. Start by clamping the cleat in place and grab a Sharpie and mark the holes. You can see there's already one set of holes on there because we set it up wrong, and essentially if we had drilled through on the original holes, we would have landed in one of those anchor holes you can see on the right hand side there where the shelves actually slot in, so it just wouldn't be a strong engagement on the screws. We just dropped it down a hair so that everything was in between those. We just have to wrap them through with the drill. All that's left to do is screw that cleat. Nice and easy. Last step, now that that is very snug, is to slide our hook on, and it's ready for duty.